I think it's Crofton. He doesn't do any show-related
Mike
stuff.
Crofton, aren't you the one that listens religiously to every episode?
I set up the random topic generator, and Bo sets up all the
They're
stuff,
quite
and
naughty.
Crofton
It's
just
like
sits there and
every-
checks work emails.
All right.
Come on,
listen.
Crofton.
Are you hearing? I'm
I'll
checking. I'm
host-
checking. One
whatever,
second.
I'll
Sit in a chair and get dizzy.
Zero other
Polish and savoir.
In a way that we haven't.
terrible intro because I'm
Mike did the last one.
Let me see. This is a good guy.
Welcome to the good, bad. Crofton's turn. There you go. Done.
There you go. Boom. Boom. Boom.
All right. We ready to start? Oh, we are streaming. Wow, that's
All
a great
right.
way to start. Hang on.
On the fourth
I'm
wall.
gonna turn off my own air conditioner here.
Time to go pro.
Time to go professional and melt. So keep it to an hour,
Just
boys.
like instant stream of sweat just starts going down his face. It's like, whoa, that's fast.
I really liked it when I was trolling him the other day, and we were done the show, and I was
He's like
I was
melting
asking
over
him to
his
do
mic.
something, and it was clear I was trolling him, but he still tried to do it anyway. I'm like, Bo, I'm trolling you.
All right.
You can leave.
All right, let's get it started then. All right, boys.
I love
All
how
right.
this thing looks like a halo.
I know you always look like a Jesus painting. When we do
Children.
All right, good, bad, or bullshit. 159. That's right. 159 starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the Good, Bad, or Bullshit podcast. My name is Crofton Steers. I am one of your gregarious hosts on this auditory adventure. I am the Pikachu of this podcast, if you will, and with me, as always, is the Squirtle of this podcast. I'm talking about Bo Schwartz. How are you, Bo?
Hello, Crofton. Thank you for welcoming me.
Oh, sorry.
And the Mr. Mime of this podcast, I'm talking about Mike Hodgins.
No, man, I'm Bulbasaur. Come on.
All right, you can be Bulbasaur. I'll allow it. The
Okay.
Bulbasaur of this podcast, Michael Hodgins. How are you?
Hello.
So, boys, I chose Pokemon Go as an opener here just because
It's the new basis of our society.
It essentially is. We're exchanging Pokemon as if they were currency. And I tell you, I am all behind a video game breaking barriers like this. I love it, except ironically, it's made me realize how sedentary my life is as I barely ever get to play it.
I got on this bandwagon later than both of you. Like 1 week later. It's only been out in Canada for a week and a half now or something.
Yeah.
And I loved how instantly on social media and other places that just this division occurred right off the bat of like old cranks who are like, get a life, all you Pokemon losers, blah blah blah, and everyone else being like, oh, Pokemon, awesome. And I thought I was somewhere in the middle for a while, being like, oh, why do people hate it so much, and why do people like it so much? And then I'm like, well, just download it, and I'm like, I like it a lot. I'm on the bandwagon. It's fun.
It's funny because it is a bit of a generational thing, and I talked about this on our Bo and I have another podcast on video games ! And I was talking about how we're the original generation that grew up with video games, and this is sort of like a marker in the sand. The late '90s, Pokemon had a moment, and a lot of people who grew up at that time period there, who are familiar with video games, familiar with smartphones, all this sort of stuff. It's come together quite perfectly, and they have this major hit on their hands, and I really do want to participate, but the more it's like, if you don't walk around at all, like, or if you don't have time, I once tried to bike to work. I bike to work every day. I tried to stop at Pokestops along the way and hit them for for the extra stuff. And it added 15 to 20 minutes to my commute. I did that one time, and then I was like, I don't have time for this. And then I just kept going. And then I'm at work and I'm walking around at work and I'm doing stuff at work, but there's no like Pokestop right near. There's none right at my house, so it's like I'm never catching Pokemon. I would have to make a concrete effort to go out there and do it, and I haven't done that yet.
I've been pretty lucky. I've caught a whole bunch of Pokemon in my living room.
See, that must, if you can catch them in your living room, that there must be like a spawn point or some shit near your house.
They're garbage ones, right? You're not getting rare ones, are you?
He got a good
Drowsy.
one the other day. What was the one you got? Toro or something?
Taurus?
Where was that?
I don't know. I don't know anything about Pokemon.
No, but where
Just
did you
catching
catch
them.
it? Where did you catch it?
Oh, I caught it on the street.
So it wasn't in your living room.
Yeah, half a block from my house. I caught an Odish in my. I don't know what any of these things are for the record. I catch what I'm like, oh, an Odish. I don't know what this is. Whatever.
I had a rarer one or one of these ones get away from me today. I had to throw 3 of the things at it and it escaped. I was
Yeah,
pissed.
you have to keep. Yeah, when they're tough, you
Were you
gotta.
high enough level for it, or was it just?
Well, it had the green circle. I thought I was high enough level, but it kept like I'd catch it and then it would escape and then I'd do it
Yeah,
again
you
and
have.
then
Yeah, the strong ones. That Tauros. It took me. I don't know 6 Pokeballs before I caught it.
son of a bitch.
Wow,
Yeah,
you
it's
guys.
tough out there.
Wow. I
Bo,
don't have
you're
much
being
to add. 'Cause
oddly quiet.
I don't have a data plan, so literally all I can do is there's a mural outside of my building that gives me 3 Pokeballs, and that's all I can do. I just
Tap that
I
shit
log
every
in and
5
collect
minutes.
balls.
See, all you need though is if someone were to come along, some benevolent person like say Crofton, and put a lure on that one, then you'd catch Pokemons.
Man, big time.
Yeah, I
Oh
had a
well.
lure, but it seemed like I only ever get the same one. So
Anyways, I'm sure that
whatever.
we've lost half our listeners now because half of all people
The
hate
shitty half.
Well,
no.
no,
It's probably
that's not
just the
true.
people who haven't. I legitimately think that most of these people that have such a hate on for the Pokemon, if you're out walking around with them and you're, hey, look, just check it out. It's just a map. And look, we're walking past this thing. Oh, here's the thing. I'll just pick up these balls. That's it. It's just like, it's nothing, but it's kind of
Mike,
fun.
you're open-minded enough to try these sort of things, but like I will be honest, the people that are against this sort of thing and are against maybe against video games in general, like you will never convince them to get on this, and they will just be like, "Oh, these people, I don't understand them." There's people who legitimately just do not want to understand, and partly that they're set in their ways, partly they just there's tons of stuff in the world that I think is stupid, and I don't even try to understand why it's as interesting as it is to some people. But in this case, it's such a huge part of the current social conversation. I never originally played Pokemon, but I really wanted to be involved in this sort of cultural moment that's going on. People will probably be talking about this. Hey, do you remember the summer 2016 when Pokemon Go came out and the world went upside down for a while?
Pokemon Go.
Like there's like articles on CNN about like people playing it in the ruins of Syria. Like it's
It
crazy.
is pretty. I just imagine Wolf Blitzer, who probably is one of the old cranks who's like Pokemon in his loud, annoying voice
It's
on
true.
24-hour news.
They're playing they're playing Pokemon in Syria. Somebody explain this shit to me. I don't get it.
It's like, why are we covering this? Isn't there a
Yeah.
storm somewhere we can make up shit about?
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, new technology scares people, be it Pokemon or be it random topic generators, of which we have one and we are going to run right about now.
Okay, Mike, you getting ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Pokemon near it. Let me catch him first.
No, just run the thing. You can catch Pokemon on your own time.
It's a drowsy, or it will be afterwards. Oh. Pokemon Slam.
The topic better
Um,
not be Pokemon.
The topic today is dating sites.
Oh, it's
Or-
kind of like Pokemon, actually.
like
Incidentally, I saw a Pokemon Go story about how this guy found love through Pokemon Go and how he's been on every dating site, but it never found him love as quickly as Pokemon Go did.
Wow.
Probably because he said he liked Pokemons on the dating site and never got any dates.
Well
It's
played.
like interests, Pokemon, and then
Oh.
no one-
That just goes to show you how many people don't use dating sites and how useless they are. Let's get right into it because
Oh, Bo doesn't
there,
like dating
there
sites.
there are tons of people, men and women, who like Pokemon, and you know what? They may be looking for love, looking for a partner, and
Looking for
they
Charizard?
can't find the other people, and you know why? It's because I think dating sites and before that classifieds, although we're strictly talking probably about websites, right? We're
Well,
not
no, I
talking
did
about,
say personals too, but come on,
Okay.
like who's doing that?
So-
who's
so-
who's calling the newspaper and say, "Can I place an ad saying I'm lonely and want to
You
find
know
someone?"
what?
Like,
I
oh,
totally forgot
so-
about those.
so-
I forgot
yeah.
about those ads when we were kids, man. Like these were like the Lonely Hearts personals.
who would
I mean-
answer one of those? You read a newspaper, you're like, "Oh,
Well, no,
there's someone
let-
who's so desperate they put an ad in the newspaper. Maybe I'll give them a call. They're
Let's
probably
not,
a great
let's
person.
not shame people who did that.
They obviously have
because
enough money to
this-
place an ad in a newspaper. Maybe they're well-to-do."
But
Listen,
this is
guys,
prior.
listen, let's not shame people who've been a
I'm
part
not
of it.
shaming
I
people.
think we
I'm
need
saying
to
this is
establish.
prior to the internet.
As I didn't finish saying what I'm saying is that it's kind of something you really want, and it's kind of a Hail Mary. It's kind of a like I really need a partner. I'm not meeting people. why don't I just put an advertisement out? That's essentially what it is. And then you both of you are right in that maybe, and this was my opinion too, is if you love Pokemon and you want to find that special Pokemon person, they're probably not checking it, except for anyone in that Hail Mary state. I think that's why they're it's kind of crappy. They're crappy. All right, now you guys can say what you're gonna say.
Are
But
you
I,
done
So
shaming people?
that's the shortest episode ever. Bo's like, dating sites are bad. Over.
Now.
He's shaming them. Look, here's the thing is that I hadn't even thought about the personal ads. Like, it's funny. It seems like something out of a bygone era, and if anything, it tells you how this has transformed over time, because now we're in the era of the Tinder and the Grinder and the other ers or whatever. Like, just these apps that you download for your phone that bring dating to its most superficial level. Swipe left for attractive or right for ugly. I don't even know which way you swipe, honestly. I haven't downloaded them, but I know a lot of people have. But prior to that, and still concurrent, there's still places like eHarmony and all these things, and then prior to that, there were others, and then there's the personals. Like, this is a thing that has existed for a long time, and I will say that I have been with my wife for a long time. We met in college. School is one of those great places to meet people. You can meet people lots of different ways, but generally, you're going to meet people that you like through constant exposure to them. Be it you join a sports team, people at work, people at school, and that sort of thing.
Or their last name starts with the same letter as you, so you sit beside them at a desk.
Potentially,
That's a good way to meet someone.
I'm just saying that, like, the general way that you meet somebody in society on a daily basis is at work, at school. You can meet them at the laundromat. People say you can meet people in all places, but really, once if you're working a job, you've exhausted the people. There's nobody at your job that you hit it off with. You're done school.
But should you be trying to date people at your job?
Well, I'm just saying these are people that you're exposed to on a daily basis. If you're not exposed to the people through your natural habits, then you have to go and artificially expose yourself to people. That sounds awful when I say it like that. Artificial. You have to go out and make artificial connections. People say dates feel like job interviews. That's what, like, sort of a forcing a connection is to a certain extent, because people at work, people at school, and all that sort of thing, you can have natural relationships, natural friendships, natural romantic interests that form, but like otherwise you have to force them, and one of the ways is the internet. And far be it for me to kind of shit wholeheartedly on it. I know a lot of people that have met their life partners essentially through the internet, so I mean it works.
Yeah, and like there are degrees, right? Like, because eHarmony in my mind has a good reputation. I feel like people have made solid connections using that particular service. And then there's like sites like, I don't know, Plenty of Fish.
My friend met his wife on Plenty of Fish.
Oh, so that works too, I suppose. Like,
Yeah.
they do work.
It's free, I think, is the deal.
I know a couple of people who met their like married partners on Plenty of Fish. So yeah, the free one, yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
ideally, the romantic notion of meeting people, like, there is some bias, I think, in the minds of some individuals, and I think incorrectly.
In the minds of all individuals,
Really?
everybody's got that
No,
bias,
but
man.
except for the people that have used it, who were like, no,
bias
we
you mean?
recommend it.
So there's a girl I worked with at a previous job. She's engaged to be married. She's now married as a kid and all this sort of stuff. And I asked her where she met her husband, and she's like, or her fiance, and she said embarrassedly, she's like, oh, I know it's really cheesy and stuff like that, but I met him on eHarmony or whatever. Like, she was apologizing before she said it. In many ways, some people do that when they meet someone in a bar. They'll be like, oh, I met them in a bar, or whatever. She's doing the same. So even though she profited from it, enjoyed it or whatever, she was embarrassed by the fact that because there's a stigma, Bo's right. There's a stigma associated with meeting somebody online. It's like, it's seen as, I don't know, what are some of the stereotypes associated?
It just there seems
Desperate?
like you've failed at like other opportunities that you might have had through social situations or whatever. You're like, I failed, I can't find someone, I guess I'll turn to the internet. So yeah, it seems like it is desperation that drives you there. And I mean,
Or
one thing.
just well,
Go ahead,
I
bro.
just say or lack of like romance, like the whole notion, and I think our generation in particular has been raised with a lot of notions in films, television, books, all that kind of like a lot of pop culture is you're at the diner and you're hanging out with your boys, or maybe you're hanging out with your girls, and then you meet some person and you're like, hey man, you wanna groove with me a little bit, and you see some, like there's or what.
Is that what how it goes?
I don't know. It hasn't worked for
You want
me
to
yet.
groove?
I've tried. I was like, "Hey, baby, you want to groove with me?" And she's like, "Get the fuck out of here, you asshole!"
Call
He's
the police, this
single
is crazy.
and ready to mingle, ladies.
So it's. But the point being is that there's this notion that you're gonna meet somebody and you're gonna woo them through some sort of thing, especially in like North America, where like arranged relationships kind of look down upon, right? Even though that happens a lot in other cultures, and dating sites are kind of self-arranged relationships. You're like, here's me, here I want a relationship. Don't care who it is, as long as like you do care who it is, but like they have to meet this criteria. So it's like you're saying you don't care who it is, if that makes sense. Like when you're like, how did you meet? The answer people want to give was, well, I saw them at the I don't know where did we, I was climbing Mount Everest, and then there was another group of people climbing there, and then I met her and I knew she was the one, and then whatever, I was like, oh my god, you met on Mount Everest, great story. And then someone else is like, well, I filled out a profile on eHarmony, and they needed to have this and this, and then this guy only had 6 of the 8 things I needed, so I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And then we went to Red Lobster for our first date, and then and
And we were
that was
both
fun.
afraid we'd never meet anyone else, so we got married.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's
That
like
Mount
that doesn't
Everest
sound
story always
great.
omits the death of the Sherpas. And then both our Sherpas got taken away by a giant avalanche. It was something we had in common. And that's what is why when people say favorable things about eHarmony, it's because it really identifies these areas of common interest, or that's the intent. And that's a lot of the web stuff. If you're honest, this is a huge thing. If you're honest, it should be connecting you to people who have similar interests. Because if I meet somebody in a bar, the only thing I know about this person is that I met them in a bar and that they probably like bars.
Or they're
I
trying to meet someone.
no,
Because like,
all I know, I don't know. Just because they're in the bar, I don't necessarily know that they're trying to meet
well, I've
someone.
always thought there's been times where I've only gone to a bar saying, "Oh, maybe I'll meet someone," and I figured like, well, if I'm there and the only main reason I'm going there is because I might meet someone, there might be somebody else who also is just going there.
It's possible, but generally the safe assumption is what's the one thing you have in common? You're both at a bar. So you probably have some level of interest in the bar. It's not always going to be the case, but that's your common connector. Aside from physical attractiveness, this is your one linkage at that point. Then you talk, and then you can find more connections. But like the computer essentially does that for you on a lot of these sites. Or be like, okay, not only what are you currently interested in, but what are your life goals? Where are you trying to go? What are your like? What's your personality type? Some of them allow you to map your personality type and this sort of thing,
Hmm.
and it pairs it down and places you in a smaller pool with people that you might have a greater odds of hitting it off with. Look, I don't have any experience in it, so I can't tell you if it works or not. I can just tell you that it seems like the theory behind it is sound. It finding people's common interests and linking them.
Well, so I mean, yeah, it sounds like that. So I've had some experience with online dating sites, not much, or certainly no success. I would add, and I would point out that when I used dating sites was at a point in my life where I was lonely and felt like I couldn't meet anyone or wasn't meeting anyone, right? And and I would just sort of as a side note, this is maybe another point of conversation about this topic, but I feel like that is maybe kind of a problem of our age that people we feel more alienated or isolated from people. That's certainly how I felt at the time, and the channels of work or whatever social, social connection I had with friends just wasn't I wasn't meeting anyone. and that was it. And I felt like, and I don't know how to meet anyone else. It was like, it was not happening. So you go to the dating site. So I felt like, oh, I want to meet someone. I'm not meeting anyone. I'll try this thing out. And I tried, I think, like Plenty of Fish, which was around back then, and then I did it some and had no luck on that. There might have been another one around at the time too. This was like, I don't know how long ago this is, like 8 years, no, 10 years ago probably, that I was doing this. And then I did do the eHarmony one because I thought, they have all these marketing around, like, we look at your personality, we want to match you with someone who's like, and I'm the type of person like, yeah, that's all I want. I'm not looking to hook up. I wasn't like a Tinder didn't exist back then, but that wasn't what I was after. Just wanted to meet someone, right? So you go, you fill out this thing. It feels kind of good. It's like, you write in all the stuff, all you're interested in, and then maybe it like, but nothing came of it. I don't even think I went on one date through eHarmony, and it cost like $100 or something at the time, and for a certain amount of time. And I didn't have a lot of money then. I was a student, but I was lonely, and I felt like in some ways I was like, it's kind of preying on that. And a lot of people feel lonely, and that's a legitimate thing. Everyone has that need for connection, the love connection, or even just a friendship connection. Sometimes it's lacking, and these services offer, I guess the one way to look at it, they offer this, which is a really basic human need, and that's good, right? Or you could say that they prey upon it, in that everyone feels this way, and they make money through it, and whether or not you make an actual connection, who knows or who cares? And I guess my experience from using it, which bugged me, is my same kind of critique of social media, in the sense that you fill out these profiles or whatever, and then I'm like, but it's somehow still like there's a picture of me. I wrote a few things that I like, but it's not capturing who I am. Like if you were to hang out with me for a few hours, you'd think I was like this or that. You might get some sense of me. But any of my presence on social media, which is, albeit limited, or those dating sites, did not do a good job capturing anything about me, and certainly obviously wasn't appealing to anyone else. Not that I had a terrible profile, I guess I did, but I certainly was not getting any dates. I think I went on one or two dates, and they were like awkward, and I remember thinking like, this person's not doing much for me, and I'm sure it was mutual. They were like, this guy's lame, and that's it. And then we never went on any other dates, and that's pretty much my experience. And then and the other experience of spending, feeling lonely on some night, not, and clicking through profiles and being like, that person looks good. Maybe I don't know, what do? You send like, oh, wink, or I don't know, all these things that you do, and then they just ignore you, or they don't. It's just, it didn't feel good to use it, and it wasn't successful for me. It's not how I met my wife, which was through more regular social channels, a friend of a friend kind of thing, and so I'm happy that worked out. But again, those are my 2 points. Are like I feel like everyone has this basic need. They want to meet people. We're more alienated and isolated than ever. It's a service that helps do that, or that preys upon it. I don't know which way do you think you guys think that flies?
Like, I guess like there's a company that I would say is like preying upon it would be a site, and this isn't a dating site, so it's not really worth our conversation, but the Ashley Madison thing. Like the examples where these things are used for the strict purpose of making money and preying on like natural desires in sort of a more morally questionable way. But I think the idea being that, we all work, we're all very busy, we're all kind of isolated, even though we live in cities together. Providing a service to do this, I think, is a good thing. Like part of it is good. I think, and I think that's where we talk about the stigma of it, where people don't want to talk about it, because it's hard to decide. And I think you touched on it a little bit with what you were saying, Mike. It's hard to decide whether or not you should feel good about it or not. I think that's a complicated thing. I feel like, if you met someone through Tinder, like, would you feel good about that being your meetup story? Like, should you even feel good or bad about it? I think is the question I'm asking. Like, does this romantic notion that you have to have a nice way that you met somebody through a friend, which I think in both of your cases is true, right? Like, it's through personal associations, seems like a romantic-ish, or at least it says something that you have friends. It says positive things and reflects well on you, versus the stigma associated with dating sites. And I feel like generally that shouldn't be the case. I feel like dating sites should be okay. That being said, our opinion on it is so much influenced by your experience of it. I haven't enjoyed my experiences on dating sites. Mostly, it's a whole bunch of it being ignored because I'm weird, and 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 the few that I've gone on, like one of them was like someone who told me they regularly wrote to inmates in prison. And before you're, thinking, oh, this person was just trying to say lame shit to get you to leave, I think this was the real deal based on the behavior. On the balance of probabilities, this person was in the process of having several pen pal romantic relationships with inmates. The other one was a match where it was like, I guess we both needed somebody physical, but not, the rest wasn't there, and I actually just had to like let it go because I didn't want to embark any further on it because that's the difficult thing, is that I was hard up for somebody. Like I wanted intimacy. I wanted somebody to share my stuff with, but I don't know, she didn't like my tweet. And that's not Twitter, but Tweet the singer. I played some Tweet, brought my girlfriend home, or girlfriend, doing a romantic thing, bring you home, listen to Tweet, and like, oh, this music sucks. I was like, that's it. I don't want everything to do with this.
That's your
That
limit.
was my third. I mean, and so like, and it's like, I don't want to do this every 2 weeks. Meet somebody, be kind of into them, and then find out, oh my god, I can't. Jerry Seinfeld, basically. I don't want to become Jerry Seinfeld, and so I kind of just. I started staying away from dating sites, and in my mind, I'm going to meet somebody not through dating sites. And I don't want that to sound like I'm being disrespectful to people who do it. But there is something to organically meeting a person that feels different than trying to shop for one online. And like I said, it's the effort going through. Maybe you get lucky, and on the first hit, you're good. It hasn't been my experience, so I kind of don't want to do it, and it's hard to recommend it.
And
Yeah,
also,
I would say, like to answer Mike's question from earlier, just are these businesses preying on people, or are they just benevolent? I would say they're capitalist entities so they're looking to make a profit. How are they going to make a profit? They got to be successful. And so there's got to be some success stories, and some people would laugh at, like, sometimes you see like the homepage and it's all these, or the commercials, it's all these happy couples. You're like, bullshit, look at the actor so and so or whatever. But in the end, the only way that people will continue to use your product is if there's some proof of success. I know what Bo's talking about with Ashley Madison. There's all this sort of proof of sort of bots and stuff. And I think of that Simpsons episode with Mrs. Crabapple, where Bart pretends to be her boyfriend, and Woodrow, and sends her these letters and stuff like that.
It's a good episode.
And like the amount of work that would have to go, like, while it's possible to like do some sort of, cyber sex with some bot thing that Ashley Madison created, it to have a relationship would require much more work if you don't meet a person. So like, it's like at one point there has to be human connections. I agree with what both of you guys have been saying about, like, yes, there is, everybody has been grown up with the idea that they're going to meet somebody down the hall, and there's going to be a love connection, and they don't want to have an artificial connection. Even stuff like blind dates, like Mike saying how he met his wife through a friend of a friend. Like, that person acted in many ways the same way that this site did. The person's like, I know these two people, they have X, Y, Z in common. Their life goals are X, Y, Z. I think they would be compatible, so I'm going to introduce them. People have been introducing people since the beginning of time, and the websites just serve to facilitate that sort of thing. So I can't begrudge them that, and I can't begrudge the fact that I've seen a lot of success through other people, but I've never used them. And I'm getting from you guys that, like, for every one of these successes, there's probably like 20, 30, 40 just sad failures.
It depends on the person too. Like, I may just be a selfish, childish individual, and I'm never gonna get success from them too. And so I think you do have
but
to.
You're honest.
Like,
you don't want to be a liar. That's the thing. I associate these things with people bullshitting.
Yeah. Well, but
right.
They're definitely, well, yeah, I mean, there are complete liars out there. There's people who are already married using normal sites and starting up relationships in other cities and all that kind of stuff. Like, This stuff does happen out there, and but
Or
the,
changing their age,
but
using a different profile pic,
but
the whole
I
nine
would
yards.
say like the people that you speak to who've met are probably looking to make compromise, looking for someone. I think if you're looking for someone and it's very important to you, you're willing to let certain things go in the name of love. Like, bottom line is, you might say, you know what, that person doesn't dig my musics, but that's okay. I still want to have kids soon, and I still want to make it work, and this is good enough. It's very complex, but like I think that pro con analysis happens in all these kinds of things. And I think the people you're seeing success ones are the ones have more leaning towards wanting to make something work, so long as there's no red flags, versus someone like me who's gonna get picky and be childish about certain things. Mike, you
But
wanted to say
I mean, I
something?
don't think it's. Yeah, you shouldn't say you're being childish. I mean, everyone has some idea. You know, you shouldn't be looking for some like that Led Zeppelin song says, a woman who's never been born. If you're a man looking for that person, you know, you want to look for someone who's real, not someone who's perfect or
Yeah.
you know that just doesn't. You know, you have to be but you know, you have some things that you like in a person, some things you don't. And that's totally fair. Um, I just there are a couple points that I wanted to make that as you guys were talking, I thought of. Um, and I think as per the embarrassment about when people are like, oh, I met some like in the end, if you meet someone and it works out, like it does not matter where you met them. Like
No.
in any context, like if you met someone and it worked out and you're in love and you get married, that's great. You know, period. It doesn't matter if it's a dating site or not. Um, but so I want to come back. So Bo and I both have some limited experience using these things, and I would say it's probably pretty limited and limited success. And I think we both probably put forward, which is a lot of, say, men who aren't trying to exploit this thing, maybe earnestly looking to meet someone. My experience, like Bo's, like get ignored a lot is how it felt like, anyways. And but I have heard from women friends who have used it where it's more the opposite. And, you know, and we can't really speak to the experience of women users, but I have heard that it's like kind of like you get a lot of messages and they're often kind of creepy and or persistent and or borderline harassing, along with ones that are probably legitimate that you got to weed through. So, you know, and I'm not saying that's the experience of all women, and again, you know, I'm just passing on secondhand information, but that experience is very different than probably a lot of male users. So either you're the type of man user, you feel like you're not getting any traction, maybe you start spamming all these women, it's not whatever, it's not good, or you just are like me and feel, oh, ignore, no one likes me, no one loves me, and then you're already lonely, so you just feel more lonely, and that, you
Although
know, whatever.
that didn't make a lot of sense to me until later on in life, when I started to realize just how harassing, like the whole online dynamic. It's because as a woman, I think when you log into these sites, you're constantly getting attention. Not that necessarily they want it, like bad attention, just attention. That why would they go out and necessarily look? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I think if there are a lot of people just bothering you already, I guess it's less likely for you to be looking through profiles. I don't know.
Well, it's a trend that's like, I mean, we're taught from a very young age when you're at the grade 8 dance, the boys are supposed to go up and ask the girls to dance. It's very seldomly happens the other way around, and you're always essentially taught that ladies' night is at the bar where the ladies drink free. It's because the idea is that the men are out on the prowl looking for ladies, and the ladies just have to like manage the advances that come their way per se. And I think this is just replicated and then perhaps to the nth degree online. And so Mike's point is well made, because I know of some ladies who have been on these things, and there's like crazy amounts of creeps and stuff like that. And of course, there's probably some of them that get no messages, and then that bears on their self-worth as well, because you forget you're putting yourself out there. Anytime that you put yourself out there is hard. And like when you put up a Facebook profile or you put out a Twitter profile, there is some level of putting yourself out there, but you're not really asking for anything in return, except for maybe like your friends to actually be friends with you online.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you go on one of these dating sites, you create a profile in which you are trying to put your best foot forward, but you're putting yourself out there. Um, and even though you're not doing anything, like you're going to work, your profile's just existing in space. You're not like, it's not like walking up to someone in the bar and getting shut down. It's still like you come home, you check your inbox, oh, no messages, or whatever. it's like death from 1,000 pinpricks. At a certain point, it wears you down and can have definitely negative effect on your psyche.
Well, and it's tough also because the mode of communication is not one that's inherently it's not a human mode of communication. So many of our forms of communication now are just lacking, and we all know that text message or email or things of that sort are lacking in tone and body language. And that's a problem. There's a lot of communication that happens through what you're doing, what your facial expression's saying, what your body language saying. That stuff's all your brain's doing it, but you're not doing it consciously. So, it makes me wonder because I felt like I was my experiences is as a user of these things, I felt like I was a nice guy just trying to, meet someone, and you put these messages out, but I don't know how they came across, and I always felt I was polite and respectful, but it could be that a woman saw a message I sent and was like, oh God, another creep. And maybe it did come like I don't know. I have no idea because if they're going through 30 messages or whatever, all these messages a day from people being like, "Hey, why don't we get together?" and you're like, "Oh, I don't know how it comes off because it's not said with my voice or with my body language or my way of speaking and my mannerisms, and those are all part of who I am and how I communicate. And it basically forces you to use this imperfect mode of communication to try to start a connection with someone that you're already putting out there that you hope it's more than just like, hey, let's be friends. Maybe there can be a connection here, but you're starting off on the worst possible footing with like a really one like a form of communication which is way too pared down. So that's tough, and I guess everyone knows that the purpose of these things is really just to get a foot in the door, like, okay, let's go out and meet in person, and then I'll find out if you're really a creep or if maybe you're a nice person and we want to hang out again. So but even getting to that stage can be a struggle.
I laugh at because Mike's explaining his scenario. He's like, I'm just a well-meaning, earnest individual. I'm just sending the ladies these emails, and there's no response. But maybe they take them the wrong way. And then my image of the emails Mike's sending are like, hello, my name is Michael. I'm just blah blah blah. I saw your profile and just want to chat. But it'd be really funny if his emails were more like, hey baby, what's up? Want to get with this? Check it out.
Also
Like,
for while I was doing this, I had a broken keyboard, so caps lock was always on. So it'd be like, "Hi, how you doing?" Cap lock, and then maybe that didn't help my case either.
I use 3 exclamation marks for every sentence. It was
Well,
like,
that's just what
hey,
the internet's taught me to do.
it's true. No, I mean, like, I feel for you guys because it does part of it sounds like an extremely uncomfortable situation, but then I compare it to other dating situations. Like, if it's not going to naturally happen in the environment around you, and sometimes you can make an educated guess because you can be like I mentioned work, uh, I mentioned school. Like, you could join us perhaps a sports league or an activity group and all that sort of thing. But if your life is set, your routines are set, and you're not meeting people in your day to day, at one point, you need to start creating these artificial scenarios in which you're exposed to other people, and it could be online. It could be that you go on, blind dates through a friend or whatever, or just dating in general. And like I mentioned Tinder earlier, and it's funny because it's like the app du jour, and the idea of a Tinder in theory is supposed to be like, you see a photo of somebody that comes up that's within your area using the Tinder app. Then you have to decide if you think that they're hot or not, essentially attractive or not. And then you swipe one way, and the whatever way says that they're attractive. They're going to get your photo as part of their rotation. And then if they also say that you're attractive, it'll notify you that you have some sort of, match. So it's essentially based entirely on like your profile. So one photo, I think you can write a couple of things, but nobody really gives a shit about that. It's like left or right, as people like playing cards almost. And then it's like, oh, you have a match. And the idea is that then you're gonna bone or something. Like, it's just like there's no deeper.
Yes, the idea being that yes, you both find one another attractive, so why don't you meet up
Right.
and figure things out?
And that's it. It's like, but what's funny is that as these things go, it's becoming used as a dating app. So people are like there's a girl at my work who's like, oh, I'm gonna meet some guy from Tinder tonight. And I'm like, Tinder? I said, isn't that the like boning app? And she'll be like, oh no, we're just going to the restaurant. We're gonna have a conversation. I'm like, well, what do you know about this gentleman? Please tell me. And then she starts laughing. She's like, well, I swiped right on him or whatever. And I'm like, well. So what does he do? Like, well, I'll find out that out tonight. Like, I just know that he's attractive. I'm like, that's all it tells you? I'm like, it's the most superficial of superficial things. But then I guess that's how like walking up to someone in a bar goes. And the joke now that goes around often is like this is like a meme that goes around. It's like the girl's Tinder profile is her like deep throating a banana or something, and then it says looking for committed relationship underneath, like because they're putting out these mixed messages on both sides, and when I see something like Tinder and I see people using it, I think like this is bad for humans. Like it's making us look at each other as pieces of meat as opposed to real people.
Well, yeah, I think that's, a reductive way of putting it. I think sometimes people do want to have a bit of fun.
That way.
What's that?
That's why I put it that way.
Okay. It's just sometimes people want to have a bit of fun, and it can be superficial or it can be whatever it's going to be. Certainly if I was looking for something more casual, I wouldn't want to go on eHarmony because that brand seems to have a whole finding a life partner vibe to it. And so I don't know. It's okay to have fun with if
it is. I sort of would, as I like to do, tie everything into our consumer culture. I feel like something like Tinder is just like, I just want to consume some people for a while. You're like, I like, no like, and then maybe some of them work out and then you go on to the next one. Like hookup culture is kind of like that. It's sort of, you're just sort of consuming someone, like they're an object to you, which is, and again, that's not even necessarily a judgment. It's just, it's kind of like how
it's time saving though, isn't it? Like, because rather
not,
than
not
go up to someone and be like, hey, you want to groove with me? This is my pickup line. And they're like, get the fuck away from me. Well, if we used an app to do that without the social interaction, then I would know not to waste her time or my time with my awkward, come on.
And I would just say that something like Tinder is just an evolution of the dating app. It's simplified. Everyone knows that physical attractiveness is a thing, right? You should be attracted to the person you're going to date. That's fine. Mm-hmm. So it's just simplifying it down. It's more the way people that it's used for the maybe more of a one night stand thing, but obviously not just that. Again, I think it comes down to the fact that people are, it is. As much as we're all living in these big cities, and it's this common refrain these days, we're more isolated than we've ever been, but yet we all live in cities, we all live close, but you never talk to anyone when you see them on the street, except for now when you're out playing Pokemon Go, and you're at a Pokestop with a lure. Hey, these people like games too. You might set up.
Hey, baby, I see you like Pokemon. You want to smush?
Well, if you say that. The best part is if you say that in person, they know you're a creep right off the bat.
Some people like that.
Whereas if you
I've never used it for the record. Who says it? Is it like the Jersey Shore people? I don't know. Smushing. It's a thing.
I never heard of it. I don't know. I'm out of touch.
You know what else is a thing? Verdicts.
Oh yeah. Verdicts. All right. I think it's time for verdicts. I think we've talked.
Time for us to swipe right or left or down the middle. I guess.
I wish I knew.
It's time to swipe down the middle.
That is funny. I'll take it.
Order, I said. Order in the court.
Because it sounds like wiping your ass, right? Swipe down the middle. Anyways, I felt that needed explaining. I'm going my verdict first.
I forgot. Yeah, most things in your mind go to the toilet.
Well, you obviously have to be there every day. It's one of the things I do the most consistently is use the washroom.
Gentlemen, order in the court, as the gentleman says.
All right, so listen, I feel very conflicted, and I don't think I'm going to come to a resolution today on the subject of dating sites. They serve a good purpose, I think. I think it's very convenient and very challenging to meet the right person. And I think this is a perfectly legit avenue, having seen examples of it being successful for people to do it. There's a stigma against it, and I can't help but be honest and say I do remain affected by it, which makes me feel like, because I don't want to base a verdict on the worst examples and worst possible services out there. Like we talked about Ashley Madison or any of those sites that want to, you want to send winks, but you have to spend like $5 to get 100 winks or something. Like, I get that you have to monetize these things, but the point being that in general, the idea behind the service seems like a good one. I think there can be good examples of it, but I am still affected by stigma of it. So I will say that dating sites and dating services are bullshit. The oh so rare Bo bullshit, but I think they're full of shit.
Huh.
I'll go next. I had a hard time a little bit with this one and figuring out where I want to land. And it's funny because this show works with the three big buckets, but the middle bucket, or I call it the middle bucket, but the bullshit is something that is generally negatively associated. I find in this case, you guys got me thinking less about the services, which is these companies that provide linkages for a cost, and more about the content, which is people who are lonely, trying to meet, but ignoring each other or whatever. Like, and I, coming into this, had been thinking about all the friends that I know that were successful, finding relationships, long-lasting relationships through these websites. And you would think that, that by default, even if one person did it, would be enough to make it a good thing. But I just find that there's probably for each one of them a bunch of people that it is negatively affecting their morale. It is leading to all these sort of strained online anonymous interactions, sort of a fair level of coldness, and then there's the new stuff, like there's the Tinders and the swiping and the bringing everything down to the most base level, and yeah, I don't like that stuff. So when you put it all together and you shake it all up, there is some good, there is some bad, but in the end, it's just a giant pile of bullshit. I agree with Bo. Bullshit.
Ooh, it smells in here today.
Yes, indeed. So, I'll just say it right off. I'm gonna follow suit. Bullshit for me too. Triple bulls. Get it out of the way. I think it was probably obvious that's where this was going. A few thoughts on that verdict. As like I said it during the podcast, if you find love, it doesn't matter where you find it. That's great. In a dating site too. I think that's totally fine. But once again, I think that these things, though they do provide this service, I think they drive home the fact that we are alienated for each other. We're letting a lot of the social bonds that I think were more prevalent break down because we have technological solutions. There's too many people in our cities, so we don't have that sense of kind of small community that human beings kind of need, around 100, 150 people or something that you kind of associate with or are traditional. Those types of, I just think the social bonds are breaking down and being replaced what is largely like a consumer product, and we're just pay some money, and the free ones, what do they exist? Because there's advertising. Everything in our society is turned into a consumable, including finding love, and that's just that's bullshit. That bugs me, and it's a big problem to be like, well, how do you get people out there meeting people again? And my wife always says this, and I found it was true. It was true of us, at least when we did meet, or the place I was in. She always says, follow a path of love and you'll find love, which just means do the things you like. Feel confident about yourself. Be happy doing the things that you like to do. One day you'll find someone. But the dating sites are not like that. And again, my experience using them was I just felt lonely. I wasn't doing the things I love. I wasn't in the world being like, what am I passionate about? And just following those passions and hoping to meet someone along the way. I was like, I'm looking at pictures. That person looked good. I hope I look good. That's not, is that really a way to meet someone? Again, if it works out, wonderful. But yeah, bullshit. That's where I land.
All right.
Well, it's interesting because I agree with a lot of that, but I do think that what if somebody's interests are interests that are, isolationist type interest, you know. Not everybody is super social and wants to get out there that much, but they still might want to have a life partner, right? Like, just so happens that some of your interests are more like social stuff, right?
Well, they weren't for many a decade, which I wasn't meeting anyone.
So it's
And
change your interest to
no, it
something that
wasn't
you
that.
want to.
It was just I cast a wider net of the things I love, which is a lot of stuff. And I feel like most people, when you think a little bit more deeply, you're like, I like this or that. Maybe I'll try a bit more of this and focus on those things. We're not all one trick ponies. There's one
That's
thing I like,
true.
period. So that's all. And it did work out for me, even though I was set up by a friend. But it was just in a place of being like, you know what? I'm not going to be fussed about it. I'll just do the things I like in life. Try to love life.
Well, if you love life and want us to know it, you can send us an email, goodbadbull@gmail.com. I'd also ask you to visit our website, goodbadbull.com, to find all our old episodes. We have been going for quite a while now. We're coming up, I think, on 160 soon. And so, like, there's a lot out there. We have opinions on everything. So if you want to develop your dating profile, and you can put like fan of Good Bad Bull on it, maybe you'll make some connections.
It's a good way to get ignored.
The dozens of people who like us. You can follow us on Twitter at Good Bad Bull. Like us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page as well. And yeah, we're all individuals of an individual nature. There's individual number one, I guess that would be Squirtle. I'm talking about Bo Schwartz. Bo,
you can
Squirtle.
find me on Twitter at Bo Schwartz and get apprised of all the sweet notifications about what I do on the Twitter. I'm trying to make a Pokemon Go joke, but I really haven't played it enough. It's just not working.
Swipe left.
Is that good?
No, I don't know.
And Michael, where can people find you?
I
Mr.
thought it was
Mime?
Bulbasaur.
Whatever.
They can find me down at the Pokestop. Yeah, you can follow me at ML Hodgins for my far and few between tweets.
You find him luring children down at the Pokestop. That's ML Hodgins for you. I'm at Crofton Steers on Twitter, and also Bo and I mentioned earlier, do a sister show called the Exclamation Mark Podcast, featuring video games. And exmpodcast.com is the website. Also, we're on iTunes and all those wonderful places, the Google Play Store. So if you want to get out there and give us a review, we would appreciate it. 5 stars, preferably. 5 stars. So, gentlemen, I, for one, am relieved that I never am going to have to use one of these websites, but it's tough because I don't want to begrudge what works so well for others.
Well, I never say never. It's like you don't know what life holds in store from you.
Thanks
You might
a
become
lot, asshole.
No. Hey, all I'm saying.
We hope that you never have to use it, but it could
these are
be.
a thing now. Maybe by the time you live to the ripe old age of 105 with modern technology, but maybe your wife passes away at 89, and you still want to find love. They'll have
Virtual reality cafe, buddy.
Geriatric, it would be geriatric Tinder.
fish.
So it'll be like fall and break hip to the right, or fall and break hip to the left.
I know we're not supposed to do this, but I did Google during our show to figure out, what the top.
I knew your opinions were bullshit. This
Well,
year.
I didn't.
Googled your
Tell you
opinions?
what you thought.
Well, anyway, one of them is called Christian Mingle. Have you guys?
I've heard of that actually. Yeah.
So
Man, I've
it's
got
like,
the most action off Christian Mingle, man.
yeah, it just seems like right off it cuts off a huge swath of people. It's like, let's get them Muslims out of there, go straight for the Christians.
Well, and those people, I'd be like, don't you go to church? That's a good place to meet people.
Yeah, but you only know the people at your church. There are churches around the world, and maybe the right
go to any church.
Yeah, and younger people, like if they're looking to meet, there's less and less in church. Maybe
That's true.
Yeah, but then if you're going online for the Christian Mingle, I mean, come on, that's gonna
get
be
out to church, you lazy
but you may
bastards.
want somebody with them Christian values, and that's
But anyway,
important to you.
The one I was gonna point out is number 12 is called Senior People Meet. So like
people meet.
They really thought a long time about their title.
There's definitely a desire there for older people to like probably widowed and different things to find people. And I could see the benefit of that because if it could be more difficult for them to get out there. This sounds
Yeah.
horrible.
And what with the best part is it can be there can be only one person on the server and you swipe right. You're like, I don't like this person. Swipe right. You're like, oh, a new person, but it's the same picture because you might be suffering from senility of some kind. So you just keep swiping all night.
That's horrible.
You should slam on old
It
people.
turns out Senior People Meet is part of a series because it was the 12th most popular, but the 10th most popular is one for Bo. It's called Black People Meet.
What?
That's the name of the site, Black People Meet.
Why is it for me?
I, I don't know, Bo.
Because I've had two girlfriends that were black,
Well, I'm just saying.
and I do find black women attractive. Maybe.
He's single and ready to
But
mingle.
I've
baby.
never been on a dating site for only one type of race. I imagine there's one for everyone. You can find
Seems like
First
a
Nation
not
circle.
cool idea.
What's that?
Seems like a not cool idea. Like having
it's the
hey, I have
same
an idea for a dating website. One where we filter out all but one race.
But it's the same principle. Like I've met people,
It's the same as
I know
Christian
people
mingle.
who have have had the nerve to say
That's
to me,
religion.
I don't know how you can be in a relationship with another white person. How you can be in a relationship with a black person. I'm not racist. I don't hate them, but I don't find them attractive. How is that possible? And it's like, ew. It's people like that go to sites that are like my race I want to date.com like racial homogeny.com, racial dating homogeny.com,
Racialpurity.org.
yeah. Well, that's a
horrible.
different site. That's
Yeah, like
that's not, but like that's important to people. Sharing cultural similarities is important to a lot of people in the world. We're racially sensitive here in other countries and even people in this country too are less like that. No, I'm sort of rehashing the debate because you brought up the race card, Croft, and now you're really going to get me going.
I just wanted
that
to close out
people
on something
tend-
kind of funny.
But it's not funny. You just
You
like
mean
making fun of me,
controversial
but
and racist?
actually people who hear that will be like, that's
Funny
very
that
tasteless.
there's a website called Black People Meet. I find that it's pretty
That's
hilarious.
for black people. It's not for white people to go on and be like, I can only date black people. This
It's
is
the
where I have to
10th
go.
most popular. Can you imagine if there's a website called White People Meet? That would be horrible.
It's called Christian Mingle.
No, because there can be black Christians. There's
I
tons of black
guess so.
Christians.
Yeah, but-
Okay.
And also, some people would just say the reason there's not a white people meet is because white people enjoy the privilege of being like the default, right?
The majority in the
You brought up all the racist bullshit in our
yeah,
society.
this is we'll have to put a pin in this for our episode on race. Which have we done that, by the way?
The number one most popular dating website is Match.com.
Yeah,
is that for pyromaniacs?
Well,
Ooh,
lava
ba-doomts.
life.
Match.com, the dating site for pyromaniacs.
Bo's appreciating his own joke.
It's so good. I really loved it.
I'm gonna
You
get out
guys
of here
at home
because I got some
agree.
strawberry shortcake. It's not gonna eat itself.
I like how Mike's always leaving to eat food.
Yes, I
I
gotta
did it
go.
myself. It involved cutting up strawberries. It was very difficult.
All right.
Apparently. All right.
All right,
that sounds
turn off
good.
the live stream. If you're a live stream viewer, thanks for listening. We'll, of course, be back again next week with another fine episode.
And I hope you, live stream viewer, also enjoy some strawberry shortcake.
You should go
That's
get some
true.
now. It's your homework.
If you do, you should go to matchstrawberryshortcake.com.
All right, I'm cutting Crofton off. Bye.